Hi and welcome, Lisa here for Honeybee Stamps. Thanks for joining me. So today I have this fun autumn themed card that I created. I'm going to share that with you, and I have a few tips scattered throughout the video. We're jumping straight into this with the oak tree stencil. Now here's one of my first tips for you is if you have a hard time creating scenes like I do, I'm very challenged in the background scene department. Use stencils. They make it so much easier, like the oak tree stencil. I'm loving this stencil. I can see me using it for summer, spring, and obviously autumn. I'm going to come in with some dye ink in the color Rich Cocoa. I'm using one of the new Honeybee blender brushes, which I'm absolutely loving. Has its own little case, stores nice and neat in the drawer. So easy to use. I'm going to use a heavy pressure applying the ink on the left side of the tree and then lighten that up as I move towards the right. And it's just going to put a little bit of shading there on that side. Moving the stencil about and lining everything up is so easy because the stencil is crystal clear. I'm coming in with New Sprout ink. I decided real quick this ink was entirely too light for my autumn themed card. I mean, this New Sprout ink has a spring feel to it. I'm going to come in with Olive Grove ink and go over that. You'll notice some areas are lighter than other areas. Application of your ink blending is always, in my opinion, personal preference. And I prefer to use dye inks when I'm stenciling. With that said, you can use distress oxides, distress inks. It's completely up to you what you want to use to do your ink blending. So here I was thinking about doing the stenciling with the leaves, and then I decided no, that I was going to use my Itty Bitty Leaves dies and pumpkins on this card just to give it some dimension. But first I want to go ahead and ink blend the sky. I was just going to ink blend the sky with my blender brush, and then I remembered, no, I have that amazing background scene, the outdoor scene builder stencil set from Honeybee. Why not get it out, get some clouds on this, give this a little bit more interest. And then on the bottom part, I'm just going to take my brush and lightly blend those edges with the summer sky ink. So this is so easy and it comes together so fast. You could do several of these at one time and it wouldn't take long at all to knock out 4 or 5 of these cards. They're just that easy. Here you can see I'm just coming in from the edges and doing a light layer of blue over the whole bottom part of the panel. For now, we're just going to set that panel aside, let those dye inks get happy in their situation. I ran white cardstock and Neenah Desert Storm cardstock through my die cut machine with the Horizon Slimline borders, the grass and the fence. I'm using the same dye inks, Olive Grove, New Sprout on the grass, and a little bit of the Rich Cocoa on the fence. Now I'm going to use some honeybee glue on the back of the grass to adhere this to the fence. And the reason that I'm doing this is because I need to decide where I want to cut this to go on the bottom of my card. So I thought it would be much easier to work with this with a little bit of that liquid glue to the back of it, holding it together. Once I decide the placement, I'm going to add some tick marks to the fence, take this to the paper trimmer, and cut those edges off. I'm going to hang on to those edges and I'll use those on another card. I add some foam adhesive strips to the back of the fence and the grass, and then go ahead and add it to the bottom of my card. So real quick here, I created a fun scene. Now all we have left to do, add some fall leaves, some pumpkins, and our fall sentiment, and we're set to go. For the itty bitty leaves, I have a little tip I want to share with you, but first let's get our paper prep. I use teal zeal, rhubarb stalk, cantaloupe, and the Rich Cocoa ink. With the itty bitty leaves, I'm lining them up across my piece of cardstock here. A piece of purple tape. This is the thicker purple tape, the 1.5 inch. I'm going to put that over those itty bitty leaves. It's going to do 2 things. It's going to hold those little leaves together so I can move them from one piece of paper to the next, and it holds it onto my cutting plate. Makes it so easy to die cut a bunch of these leaves at one time. So you see that pile of leaves sitting there. It like took me 5 minutes to cut all of those leaves by using that purple tape on the back of the dies. Foam round adhesives to add the leaves here. I decided at the last minute I was going to add pumpkins to this card since it's an autumn themed card. And I wanted to use these itty bitty pumpkins. Potter's clay ink to a piece of white cardstock. Left it looking distressed, just like with the leaves. Ran it through the die cut machine. Added those pumpkins along the bottom of the card along the fence using the same round foam circles. Honeybee glue to the back of the panel, and we're going to add it to our 100-pound Nina Desert Storm card base. Now for the sentiment, I use the Autumn Buzzword sentiment stamps and dies. Again, use my ink pads to color white cardstock. I used Cantaloupe and the Rich Cocoa, and then I ran that through the die cut machine with the Autumn die and shadow die for that. I stamped my sentiment, "Hello, you make life colorful," so that it would read, "Hello, Autumn, you make life colorful." Now, I used VersaFine Clair inks for that in the colors Pinecone and Warm Breeze. I absolutely love my VersaFine Clair inks when it's time to stamp my sentiments. I think you get the best stamped impression with those inks, so I always go to those for my sentiments. Here, you see me, I'm just adding a few more of the tiny little leaves to around the sentiment that I placed. I did use my foam adhesive strips to add the sentiment, and I'm using the little foam round adhesives to place the last leaves on the card. That's going to wrap us up. I appreciate you joining me. Take care, and I'll see you soon.